Kia ora, good evening. I'm Hannah Wilkins. A large sperm whale which got stranded on a Christchurch beach over the weekend has died despite the efforts of volunteers. Dock officials deemed the nighttime beaching too dangerous for staff to help the stricken 15-metre-long marine mammal.
This giant whale died after becoming stranded on the sandbar off South New Brighton over the weekend, despite the efforts of environmental organisations to rescue it. The female sperm whale was first spotted struggling in shallow waters on Saturday night, before washing up on the beach early on Sunday morning and attracting a number of onlookers. Department of Conservation Operations Manager Andy Thompson says the beaching was a rare event for this area.
This is very, very unusual. It has passed away, unfortunately, but this is very rare to have a sperm whale on Brighton Beach.
Thompson says a team had assessed the situation, but determined the chances of refloating the 15-metre-long whale were very slim, with the animal weighing around 40 tonnes.
Sperm whales tend to come in because there's something wrong, and it's a really big animal, and dealing with an animal that size at night time is extremely dangerous.
Thompson says they work closely with local iwi as they work to move the mammal and dig a burial site.
Looking at honouring the whale by removing some of the tonga from the whale, and that will mean a jaw and teeth removal. And we want to do that for cultural reasons, but we also want to make sure that they don't get taken inappropriately.
Members of Project Jonah were also on hand to help manage the stranding. The volunteer environmental organisation says this was the 5th sperm whale to die in New Zealand in the last month, after 3 strandings in Northland and 1 in Mahia. Local iwi performed a karakia for the whale before it was buried on the beach on Sunday evening. In Christchurch, the South Today.
It was the start of a big undertaking for the Queenstown Lakes District Council as work began to clean up the local cemetery. The site was damaged during the torrential rain and flooding in September as forestry slash was brought down onto the graves.
It's the start of a new beginning for the Queenstown Cemetery, the Queenstown Lakes District Council hosting a ceremony on Friday morning to mark the beginning of a major restoration project. The event took place on Brecken Street in front of the damaged site caused by debris from forestry slash after heavy rain created a mudslip in late September. Initial work started in the month after the incident. A stream has already been diverted out of the cemetery and debris removed from further up Bob's Peak, making the site safe for both workers and machinery.
That was to keep both the workers but also the rest of the cemetery space safe. We've done a lot of water mitigation. We had to get water channeled out of the cemetery and get the water management up the hill to go where we wanted it to go.
The QLDC believes the cleanup will take around 2 to 3 months to complete, but are hoping to let people visit the grave sites of their loved ones by Christmas. Workers will first clear small chunks of silt and debris before a large crane is used to remove the larger logs littered around the cemetery.
That will be the tool that we use to lift all of the largest debris up and out of the cemetery safely. In order to prepare for that, what we're doing is clearing the smaller debris, cutting down things as much as we can, and bagging it actually, so it's going to be a lot of material going into bags.
Restoration work will begin once the debris is fully cleared. Stonemasons will be tasked with working on the headstones, restoring those that are damaged, and resetting them back to their original resting places. In Queenstown, the South Today.
The former CEO of the FIFA Women's World Cup has been appointed to the top job at a Queenstown-based tourism company. Dave Beach has been revealed and he's got some big goals for the resort town with a focus on sustainability and conservation.
Central Otago's tourism giant has a new man on the block as David Beach takes on the role as chief executive of Real NZ. Beach will take up his new job in January after 15 years' experience in delivering world-class events, including this year's FIFA Women's World Cup and the Queenstown Marathon. His goal is to continue growing the large tourism company in a sustainable way, and says he wants to use Real NZ's position to help the world fall in love with conservation.
Bring tourism back in a way that is sustainable and regenerative is obviously a hot topic among the sector, and so Real NZ as a leader in the sector is going to have a big role to play in that.
He's also keen to continue work decarbonising Queenstown's historic TSS Earnslaw steamship. The plans first announced in 2021. The idea to switch the 111-year-old boat from coal to either wood pellets, biofuel or hydrogen received some backlash.
You know, I think we have to preserve the history of the Urnstall, there's no doubt about that, but we also have to find a way to reduce its carbon footprint. So quite what the technical solution is, I'm not sure yet, but there'll be an answer there.
And he admits one of the immediate challenges he'll face in the role will be the ongoing housing crisis in the resort town, with extra work required to attract and accommodate the large workforce the tourism company relies on. In Queenstown, the South Today.
The legacy of one of Dunedin's founding families has been marked with the launch of a publication commemorating 150 years of Hellenstein's brothers. You probably recognise the name from the nationwide retail chain, but the Hellenstein family contributed a lot more to Dunedin than just clothing.
The Hellenstein family going through the generations, more than a century down the line. The family was prominent in the Otago region, initially settling here in the 1860s and establishing clothing store Hellenstein Brothers. Now their broader contributions to Dunedin are being celebrated 150 years later, with a new publication, The Hellenstein Legacy, detailing the history of the family.
The value of the publication is to express the just the range of benefactors in terms of the institutions, that received gifts and donations from the family.
Around 50 people attended the launch of the publication at the Dunedin Public Art Gallery last Friday, the brochure outlining the family's generosity in arts and culture. George Friedlander is the great-great-nephew of Otago settler Bendix Hellenstein and says the brothers always wanted to leave a mark on Dunedin.
And it's hard to put into words 150 years. I think it's really quite emotional in some ways. But it's important to mark these milestones, and I'm pleased that we were able to be here today to do that.
Hellenstein Brothers is still a popular men's clothing chain across the country, but family members are keen to celebrate where it all started. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Whai Akane still to come on Southern Newsweek. Gore has put 40,000 tonnes of gravel to good use, creating a first line of defence for future floods. And a popular fitness chain has unveiled its brand new gym in central Dunedin just in time for summer. Tēnā koe, welcome back. Flooding across Southland in September put a huge strain on riverbanks, but a newly completed project in Gore is hoping to improve that situation. Environment Southland has been working on plans to better prepare the town, creating a first line of defence for future floods.
This unassuming pile of dirt and gravel could make all the difference in the event of a weather emergency. The new stop bank has been completed in Gore, with the 500-metre long structure running along the east side of the Matoda River between Ontario and Toronto streets. Project engineer Lee Mutton says the stop bank brings East Gore up to the same standard as the rest of the town's flood banks and replaces the old concrete flood protection wall.
So this embankment was built in just about 5 months, right through the winter, which was a real challenge for the contractor. They did really well to work with difficult materials to put it all together in difficult weather conditions.
And the torrential rain and flooding didn't help the major project, putting Gore into a state of emergency in September this year. The new embankment was built using 40,000 tonnes of gravel from the Matoda River, which brings extra benefits to the project.
Pulling that material out of there allows better conveyance of floodwaters through the Matoda Gorge and reduces the material cost of a project such as this.
High-risk trees were also removed from the area earlier this year, with work on stop banks in Wyndham and Invercargill set to resume shortly for the summer construction period. In Gore, the South Today.
Dunedinites who are keen to get fit for summer have a new reason to throw some tin, with a brand new gym opening up just in time for the festive season. Les Mills has opened its relocated club this week, bringing cutting-edge fitness technology to the central city.
It may look like a video game, but the cinematic experience is purely for exercise. Globally renowned gym Les Mills is making its mark on Dunedin, opening its new site in the Meridian Mall on Thursday. The $9 million project has taken 18 months to complete. The club relocated to the ground floors of the Central City Mall, making the move after being based in Dowling Street for more than 40 years.
Convenience, ease of access to car parking for our members, and also the site in terms of the size of the site suited us perfectly in terms of what we wanted to include in the club.
CEO Brett Sutton says the new club's at the forefront of fitness innovation, with a virtual reality immersive cycle room creating a level of anonymity in the workout. And it's not just exercise equipment impressing regulars. Les Mills is also working to improve the recovery time for members.
The other thing that we'll include is, or we have included into the space, is we've got hot cold treatment into our change rooms. So we've got beautiful saunas, and then outside the saunas we've got cold plunge showers to really give contrast therapy to our members.
The gym also features dedicated zones for group workouts, cardio machines and free weights. Sutton's confident the new modern facilities will engage the Dunedin community and help get more people moving this summer. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A group of young Queenstown conservationists were put under the microscope for a hands-on learning experience. The environmental program took school children from across the resort town to the outdoors as part of their mission to bring the local wetlands to life.
Some conservationists of the future taking care of Queenstown's environment. These primary school students are putting the Shotover wetlands under a microscope with the help of the Otago Regional Council. The outdoor classroom project is a part of the Shotover Primary School's work with the ORC, Southern Lake Sanctuary and Manatahuna over the past 7 years to rehabilitate the local wetlands. Robin Zink, the Regional Coordinator of EnviroSchools, says the work gives students hands-on experience around conservation and climate change mitigation.
And the aim is to foster a generation that instinctively think and act sustainably.
Students cycled around 4 wetland stations, testing the water quality and clarity, tracking local species with a specialised tracking box, carrying out 5-minute bird counts, and learning about the progress in the wetlands. 10-year-old Franco Chapmanola has been involved in the project for over 2 years and says he's seen an increase in birds calling the area home.
I'm seeing lots of ducks, which I used to have none of. Swans, a bit of swans. And I've seen a couple of geckos in the bushes.
Zink says the wetlands are an important environmental factor for the area, as all the stormwater from the Shotover region comes through the site.
So it captures the stormwater and then releases it slowly. It also filtrates that water, so any contaminants that come down through the stormwater are filtrated out in the wetlands here before it goes into the river.
The students' testing has given them encouragement, with positive signs like an increase in bird life and clearer water, showing their hard work is paying off. In Queenstown, the South Today.
It was a big day for punters across the south on Tuesday as the Melbourne Cup race stopped workplaces across the regions. Some Dunedinites dressed up in their finest attire for a day out at the racecourse more than 2,000 kilometres from Flemington.
Bringing a splash of colour to the ponies as punters dressed up to the nines for one of the biggest days on the racing calendar. A large crowd made their way to Wingatui Racecourse in Mosgiel for Otago Racing Club's annual Melbourne Cup Day. But for some, it wasn't just about racing. 25 glamorous entrants put in an extra special effort for the Fashion on the Field competition, which saw colourful fashionistas strutting their stuff on the makeshift runway. And they didn't make it easy for the judges. Wanaka's Joe Lewis eventually taking out the top prize in a pink and blue ensemble which paid tribute to her late father-in-law.
To do this in memory of Doug O'Neill, who was based here in Wingatui for many, many years and was a very well-known New Zealand horse galloper trainer.
Right. However, the horses weren't too bothered by the fashion show. Alongside the racing in Melbourne, there were 9 local rounds of races on the Wingatui track. Jockey Kate Hercock made a successful mad dash for the finish line on her horse Good On Ya in the headline Grand Casino $50,000 race.
Yeah, he's just a horse that gets back. The speed was on and just get back. Paul wanted me to come out around them, but I managed to sneak a one in and away he went. But no, nice finish.
And while there were some successful bets placed on the Melbourne Cup race, there were many more disappointed punters. Winner of the Fashions in the Field competition, Joe Lewis, will get to represent Wingatui at the Auckland Cup next March. In Mosgiel, the South Today.
Whai Yakane, still to come on Southern Newsweek. Thousands of craft beer enthusiasts filled up Dunedin Stadium for a day of food and drink. And a Central Otago octogenarian has won a flash new ride while celebrating a motorsport park's milestone. Tēnā koe, welcome back. High-octane energy took over the serenity of Glendew Bay over the weekend as New Zealand's fastest powerboat races made a big splash. The Hydro Thunder series has all but sailed into action, with the hydroplanes using the water as a runway.
These top-class racing boats carving up the lake at extreme speed. The tranquil scenery of Glendew Bay was interrupted by roaring engines on the weekend as speedsters revved up for the Hydro Thunder New Zealand series. There was no shortage of thrills as the Grand Prix hydroplanes zoomed around the course, the racing boats hitting speeds of almost 300 kilometres an hour.
They're like in an F-16 cockpit in an aeroplane. So basically they're an aeroplane on water. They do speeds of like race speeds of between 150 and 180 miles an hour.
Eager spectators watched on as the powerboats raced 4 laps of the 2,000-metre course, spraying water and even catching some air. Invercargill-based driver Jason Haggerty has been racing in the sport since he was a youngster, upgrading from smaller boats to the Grand Prix hydroplanes 5 years ago.
And there's nothing like stomping 1,400 horsepower because it's unbelievable. You'll never experience anything like it. But that's probably only 10 to 15%. It's the people that are involved in the sport, the volunteers that we've got, and the community that's in our racing.
Competitors travelled from across the country for the event, with the series continuing at Twisel's Lake Ruataniwha next weekend. In Glendew Bay, the South Today.
More than 12,000 keen drinkers gathered to share a drop over the weekend for the Dunedin Craft Beer and Food Festival. But one brewery was a little different from the rest, coming straight from the ground up, ditching the home setup and joining the big leagues.
Taking a look at his own handiwork as Ollie Rudd steps up on a massive scale. The brewer won last year's homebrew competition with his Witber, Jenny's Wit, and is now back amidst craft beer enthusiasts on the other side of the tap. He launched his own brewery, Rudhouse Brewing, at the Dunedin Craft Beer and Food Festival on Friday, the first time a homebrew winner has become a vendor at the popular event.
To get up to a standard where I thought I was good enough, and I think we've got that now, so we're really happy to be launching, and it's been a plan for a few years.
The annual 2-day festival saw around 12,000 people through the doors of Forsyth Bar Stadium to try the tasty drops and delicious food on offer. The winner of the homebrew competition gets the chance to brew their creation alongside Emerson's Brewery, showcasing the beverage at the Emerson stand for Beerfest.
I was really pleased to win. I came second the year before, so I knew I was on the right track, but I was really chuffed to win. Nice surprise.
Rudd says the key to being a good brewer is attention to detail, but claims the secret to his success is hard work and perseverance. In Dunedin, the South Today.
More than 1,000 rubber ducks set off on a dangerous trek last weekend, swimming through strong whirlpools and tackling treacherous obstacles. The annual Wanaka Rotary Club Duck Race saw hundreds of residents cheering the toys over the finish line for a fundraising family day out.
From the bathtub to Wanaka's Bullock Creek, these rubber ducks are on a path to victory. But their journey was no lazy river, as more than 1,500 of the small yellow toys dodged obstacles, powered through whirlpools and took on tunnels. The 13th annual Wanaka Rotary Club Duck Race is a popular local event with hundreds of people cheering the numbered rubber ducks through the water. But, unlike Queenstown's recent race, there was no extra dress-ups required for the ducks, with the emphasis here on aerodynamics.
Oh, we've had a wonderful day, a great crowd. I wish I could have counted them, but several hundred. An exciting day for the children of Wanaka, chasing the small ducks down the creek.
Organisers were over the moon about this year's turnout, with the fun family day out attracting a sellout crowd.
Absolutely awesome. Best year to date. We sold every ticket.
That included 52 corporate ducks, double last year's number, with the Rotary Club raising around $10,000, which will get reinvested in community projects. In Wanaka, the South Today.
An 81-year-old may potentially be the fastest pensioner in Cromwell after winning an impressive prize. The Highlands Motorsport Park celebrated its 10th anniversary over the weekend with a series of events, drawing plenty of keen visitors to town.
Ivan Fahey getting comfortable in his new bright red Lamborghini Huracan and feeling like $500,000. The 81-year-old was the lucky winner of this luxurious sports car after a prize draw to mark the 10th anniversary of Highlands Motorsport Park on Sunday in Cromwell. So what does the octogenarian who currently drives a Suzuki Grand Vitara and a BMW 525M plan to do with his new Lamborghini?
I'm going to play with it. Of course I'm going to play with it until I can't.
Lamborghini Huracans can accelerate from 0 to 100 k's in as little as 2.9 seconds and are listed for sale online for up to around $450,000. Fahey's no stranger to the park. He's volunteered as a bus driver here for many years to give back to the community he loves.
I've been a spectator of motorsport all my life, really. Never been a competitor as such, but I've been very interested.
Fahey joined the strong crowd of motorsport enthusiasts at the park for Highlands weekend celebrations, enjoying some high-speed action at the track. In Cromwell, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube and the South Today NZ on Facebook to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.